Hey guys, welcome back to Sockets and Sideburns. Today we've got Sally the Scenic back in the garage again for an oil and filter change. Hopefully this will be the last thing needs doing on this car for a while, because I've got a few jobs queued up on the Clio that need doing now. Right, let's go. You will need some special tools for this job, an 8mm square sump plug socket and an oil filter removal tool. The best type for these is a cup type one. I've got a full set and I'll leave some links in the description to the ones that I've got. Right, the first thing we need to do is get the undertray off. Now it's totally possible to do this without jacking the car up. Your experience may vary, but I think most size people should be able to get under here just fine. Saves us a little time. Now this undertray is held on by 7 10mm bolts. We've got 2 at the back, 2 sort of midway just in front of the wishbone, and 3 along the front here. Okay, just a little word of caution for these bolts is that they just have either a little riv nut on the other side or an insert that they run into, and they will break loose if you really crank on these bolts. They'll just spin then, and you'll either have to try and jam up that insert or obliterate the bolt head so that you can get the undertray off. Start with these back two. What is that? Oh my god, look at this. I can't believe it. I never thought I'd see that again. See if I can get it from here. I think that is what I think it is. Yep. That is the 1/3 of the scuttle weather strip that I lost after taking it to auto glass. Caught by the undertray. They are good for something. Alright, the other back one. And these 2 in the middle now, just in front of the wishbone. Okay, that's going a little bit tight. Try and run it back up in a little bit. Might be some gunk on the end of the bolt that we're now trying to draw through the insert. We do it back up, might just push it off. And we'll try and get it out again. Getting a little bit further down each time, only doing 3 forward, and about 5, 6 back, 2, 3 forward, 2, 3, 5, 6 back, just working that rust or gunk off of the bolt. I don't think it'll be cross-threaded because it wouldn't have come out this far so easily. Here we go, I think we're getting somewhere now. There you go, as you can see, as I said, a little bit of caution goes a long way on these. There we go. You can see all that crust on the top there. That's what's been holding us up. We'll wire brush that up and grease this and probably all of them before we refit. Same again on the other side. Let's hope this one's a bit more friendly. Finally. Why do those bolts have to be so long, Renault, huh? Right, now we need to get these 3 along the front. Okay, so with all of those out now, you should just be able to lift it up and push it back. It is held on. There are some little clips bits just here that you sort of have to get it past, but you just sort of tilt it up, push it back, and it'll slide off. With that tray off, we'll run the car for 5 minutes to get the oil warmed up nicely so that it drains out better and brings out as many contaminants with it as possible. Pop the bonnet up. Also open up the oil filler so the oil drains out a bit quicker. On this engine, the oil filler and the dipstick are one and the same. I always put a big piece of cardboard under the car before draining any fluids. No matter how well you place the drain pan, you can guarantee you'll miss some every single time. Then a drain pan under the sump. Make sure it's big enough to hold the contents of the sump. In this case, that's 4.5 litres. The sump plug on these is an 8mm square drive, as is usual with Renaults. Right, we'll crack that off. Just try and keep it pressed into the sump as long as you can. And try not to drop it in the drain pan when it does come. Right, while that finishes draining out, let's replace the washer on the sump plug, give it a good clean off. Now on the sump plugs on these engines, you might find you either have a copper crush washer fitted or a Doughty washer, a bonded seal. Replace whichever one you find with the same one. Make sure you do replace it if you don't want leaks later. I'll give it a good clean off, especially on the seat there where the washer's going to seal against. And then ours has a Doughty fitted on it, so I'll be replacing that with another Doughty. Ready to refit. Right, that's down to a slow drip now. Whip this drain pan out and replace it with a bit of rag just to catch those last few drips. And I'll just give this area a quick wipe down, especially the area where the washer seats. Refit the sump plug just by hand to start with, so there's no danger of cross threading it. Torque for this is 20 Nm. If you don't have a torque wrench, then just a pinch up with a 3/8 is sufficient. We'll check that torque now. Perfect. And I always give the sump plug area quick blast with some brake clean or something similar, some degreaser, and then a final wipe down so it's completely clean. That way you know any oil you see from now is a leak. Okay, next up is the oil filter. It's living at the front of the engine, just down past the oil filler cap there. And the best route to it is between these two pipes here. The best tool to get on these by a mile is an oil filter cup type tool. There's really not very much room between all these pipes to get any plier type or strap type oil filter removal tools down there. If you lift this clip up, pop the pipe out, you can get that clip out and around, and then it just swings up like that. It's just on a cable tie on the pipe, and then the best route is open now between these two pipes to get a cup type tool on there to slack that off. Put carefully our drain pan under the oil filter. Okay, as I say, oil filter cup's the best way. Come in under these two first, these two pipes, and then once we're in, can sort of turn it around in our hand and get it over the filter. And then get an extension on that. And we'll be able to undo it. Okay, try and keep your ratchet head pressed down into the filter so it doesn't slip off. Cool. Wow, that's on there. Let's up the ante. Let's get a bigger one. Okay, that really doesn't want to come off like that. Try a smaller extension and a bigger ratchet. I wonder if maybe being up against this pipe is making the cup slip off a little bit. Let's try it from there with a bigger ratchet. Means I can press it in better as well, down onto the oil filter. There we go. It's coming now. Cool. You hear that squeaking? Someone really did do a number on that one. Okay, it's turning now. Get the cup off and be able to take it off by hand. You might make a bit of a mess sliding this out. So just undo it a bit. Let any oil that's still in that filter seep down the threads and drop into your catch pan for a little minute, rather than bringing it all past all the pipes. Just let it drain into the pan. I think the best thing to do would be to get a rag to bring it out with. And there'll be just enough room between those two pipes to bring it up and out. just take a moment to compare your new oil filter with your old one. There are two different types of filters fitted to these engines, depending on whether you have stop-start fitted or not. You can fit the wrong one, as the thread sizes are exactly the same. The stop-start filters are a little bit taller than the non-stop-start filters, so you should be able to tell them apart. But do make sure that you compare them to check you've got the right one. Okay, so as I've said before, if you can prime an oil filter before you fit it, you should always try. Now this filter will be going down into the engine bay, so we're not going to be able to actually fill it up with oil, but what we can do is sort of pre-soak the paper element inside and then turn it up on its end, let any sort of excess oil out, and then we shouldn't drip any down into the engine bay. Shan't put too much in, just enough to give that paper a soak in. And also grab this little bit that's just making its way around there and make sure we lubricate that seal. Wipe a little around there just to lubricate that. And then I'll turn it on its side, rotate it over a few times. And then if you turn it up on its end for a moment, any excess should have come out. And again, I've just bunged that on the rags, just make sure that seal's nicely lubricated with new engine oil. Okay, let's fit this back on the car. And just make sure there's no traces of your old gasket on the oil filter sealing face there. And just give it a quick wipe round with a rag. Make sure it's nice and shiny before you fit your new one on. Okay, let's get our new filter in. You can just slide it between these two pipes. And then you need to sort of lift up on this near pipe here so that it doesn't press on the oil filter. So that you can get it started. And then once it's on there, just do it up by hand, hand tight. Take note, whoever fitted this on last time, that's hand tight. Now I'm going to take my glove off so I can get a good grip on it. If your glove's got oily, it's always a good idea. And just tight by hand. That's it. And again, just a little brake clean on a rag. And wipe down as best you can in here. Any pipes, the oil filter itself, anywhere you might have spilt a little oil. Just so you know then that any new oil that you see pop up is actually a leak. And we'll just put the clips back on these pipes. There is another clip further down here. Don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but that one's just popped off as well. So we need to get that back on too. Should be pretty obvious if it's come off. Just clips over that other pipe, same pipe that the other clip's going on to, just further down. And then, if you remember this clip here, just pivot it back. And there should be some pretty nice witness marks on the pipes as to where they went previously. And you can refit them in the same place. Okay, now it's time to fill it back up. This engine takes two different types of oil depending on whether you have a DPF fitted or not. If you're unsure, have a look inside your driver's door and there'll be a sticker there indicating if a DPF is fitted. Since this car does have a DPF, we need a 5W30 oil that meets ACEA C4 and Renault's RN 0720 spec. But do be sure to check your car's manual to make sure you're putting the right oil in your car. Sump capacity on these is 4.5 litres. I always pour in about half of the total capacity and then start checking the dipstick. You can always put more in, but you can't take any back out. Well, you can, but yeah, nah. Okay, that's about 2.5 litres. Let's have a look where we are now. Ah, there we go. Not even kissing the minimum yet. Keep going. Okay, that's about 3.5 litres now. It's about halfway in between. We're getting there. Pour another half a litre in, and I think that'll do us before we start up. Okay, that's 4 and a bit-ish litres now. So I'll give that a good amount of time to settle down in the sump, check the level, and then start her up, circulate it round. Your oil pressure warning light might not go out straight away. Just make sure that it does extinguish promptly, however. Okay, we'll let her run for a couple of minutes and then have a look underneath for any leaks from either the sump plug or from the oil filter. Nope. And no leaks there either. Right, we can shut her off now. Right, we'll give it 10 minutes for all that oil to fall back down into the sump again. Check the level and top up as necessary. It's just about halfway between the min and max. So we'll pour in that last half litre or so, see if we can bring it closer to the max mark. There we go. That's much closer to the max mark now. I'm happy with that. Okay, shut the bonnet now. All that's left to do now is reset the service light and put the under tray back on. Right, under tray back on. Slide it under the car. Now, they don't exactly make this easy, but it is doable. On your back, get both hands under, line up this this cutout here, going in this centre, going above that on the other under tray, and then you've got two hangers either side. If you just get your hands as wide spaced as you can, line that up in the centre, and it'll all just pop forward like that. Make sure those hangers are on. And then get these front 3 bolts in first, and then get all the others in. We'll just do them up a little bit until we've got them all in, and then finish them up. I've given all these under tray bolts a good clean up and put some grease on all of them. I thoroughly recommend you do the same. Make your life a bit easier for the next time. And like I said, we'll just run them in a little way, get all of them in like that, and then finish them all off when they're all in. This is why we leave the bolts a little bit loose. Give us a little wiggle room so we can line the others up. Right, now they're all in and located. Check it's all still located at the front. Yeah, and then we can run them all in tight now. Don't do these up crazy, just sort of palm it with a 3/8, just like that, and that's enough. Okay, to reset the service light, I'm just going to turn our ignition on. Wait for all your messages to clear off the display. Don't start the car, don't touch any pedals. And cycle through until you find your oil change required using the wiper stalk buttons. Press and hold the top button or the bottom button, doesn't matter. And this message will start to flash. Keep it held down until it completely stops flashing, and then it's reset. You can let go. Right then, that's the job done. If you've enjoyed this video or it's helped you out at all, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more videos from the channel in the future, don't forget to subscribe. You can also find me over on Instagram at SocketsAndSideburns. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bonus content: refitting 1/3 of a weather strip.